Hey Switch fans, welcome back to SwitchTop. Today we're diving into the world of arcade games on the Nintendo Switch. These are the games that'll take you back to the golden age of gaming, or introduce you to classics you might have missed. Whether you're looking for quick sessions or deep dives into gaming history, this list has you covered. Let's jump right in. Atari 50 is more than just a collection of old games. It's an interactive museum that celebrates 5 decades of gaming history. You get over 100 playable games, spanning from the 1970s, Atari 2600 era, all the way to modern indie titles inspired by Atari's legacy. The collection includes arcade classics like Missile Command and Tempest, console games like Adventure and Yar's Revenge, and even some unreleased prototypes that never made it to market. The presentation is the real highlight here, with a timeline interface that lets you browse through Atari's history while watching video interviews with original developers, seeing vintage advertisements, and checking out design documents. Each game has context and background information that helps you understand why these titles mattered. The emulation quality is excellent, with options to add filters for that authentic CRT monitor look, or play in their original aspect ratios. You can jump between different eras of gaming and see how the industry evolved, from simple Pong-style games to more complex arcade experiences. It's educational without being boring, and the games themselves still hold up surprisingly well today. Namco Museum brings together 11 of the company's most iconic arcade games in one package. You're getting the heavy hitters here: Pac-Man, Galuga, Dig Dug, and 8 other classics that defined arcade gaming in the 1980s. Pac-Man needs no introduction. You guide the yellow circle through mazes, eating dots while avoiding ghosts, with power pellets letting you turn the tables temporarily. Galuga has you controlling a spaceship at the bottom of the screen, shooting down waves of alien attackers with increasingly complex patterns. Dig Dug puts you underground, where you inflate enemies until they pop or drop rocks on them. Each game has its own distinct mechanics. Rolling Thunder is a side-scrolling action game. Sky Kid is a flying shooter, and Splatterhouse is a horror-themed beat-em-up. The collection includes both the original arcade versions and some console ports, giving you options for how you want to play. You can adjust difficulty settings, add scan lines for that retro feel, and check out your high scores. The games support quick save states, so you can practice tricky sections, which is great since these games were designed to eat quarters. It's a straightforward compilation without much extra content, but the games themselves are timeless and perfect for quick handheld sessions. Silver Bullet is a modern take on classic arcade shooters with a cyberpunk twist. You play as a hacker, fighting through digital landscapes filled with enemies, and the core hook is that you can reflect enemy bullets back at them. The game combines shoot-'em-up action with puzzle elements because you need to think about positioning and timing, not just blasting everything on screen. Your ship has a reflector shield that sends projectiles back toward enemies, and learning the rhythm of when to shoot and when to reflect is key to survival. The levels are short and intense, designed for repeated playthroughs as you learn enemy patterns and find the best strategies. There's a risk-reward system where getting closer to enemies and reflecting their shots at point-blank range gives you higher scores. The visual style uses bright neon colors against dark backgrounds, creating that arcade cabinet aesthetic while running smoothly on Switch. You unlock new ships with different abilities as you progress, changing how you approach each stage. The difficulty ramps up quickly, and later levels throw complex bullet patterns at you that require serious reflexes. SNK 40th Anniversary Collection packs in 24 games from SNK's early arcade days, covering everything from shooters to sports games to early fighting games. This collection focuses on SNK's output from 1981 to 1990, before they became known for the Neo Geo. You get a mix of genres. Alpha Mission is a vertical shooter, Athena is a platform adventure, Ikari Warriors is a run-and-gun game, and Baseball Stars is still considered one of the best arcade baseball games ever made. The emulation lets you add unlimited continues, adjust difficulty, and save your progress at any point, which is helpful because these games were brutally hard in arcades. Each game has a museum section with original artwork, promotional materials, and Japanese versions alongside the international releases. Some standout titles include Crystallis, an action RPG with a surprising amount of depth, and King of the Monsters, a kaiju fighting game where you battle as giant creatures destroying cities. The collection includes both one-player and two-player games, with local co-op support for the games that originally had it. You can set custom button mappings for each game, which is crucial since arcade controls don't always translate perfectly to modern controllers. Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, celebrates one of gaming's most unique developers through 42 of his games spanning 4 decades. Jeff Minter created psychedelic shooters and experimental games that were unlike anything else in the industry. The collection starts with his early 1980s work on computers like the Commodore 64 and goes all the way to modern titles. Games like Tempest 2000 and its sequel, TXK, are tube shooters where you blast enemies crawling along geometric shapes with pulsing electronic music synced to the action. Grid Runner and its many variations have you shooting through grid-based playfields with enemies that move in hypnotic patterns. Sheep in Space, Hover Bobber, and Attack of the Mutant Camels show Minter's obsession with llamas and other animals in bizarre scenarios. The gameplay is always focused on pure arcade action with wild visual effects, explosions of color, particle effects, and strobing backgrounds that create an almost trance-like state. Each game includes historical context about when it was made and what Jeff was trying to achieve. You get to see how his style evolved, from simple 8-bit games to complex modern shooters, while maintaining that distinct Llamasoft personality. Ray's Arcade Chronology collects 3 legendary shoot-'em-ups from Taito: Rayforce, Raystorm, and Ray Crisis. These games represent the evolution of 3D shooting games in arcades during the mid to late 1990s. Rayforce has you flying over a 3D cityscape while shooting enemies on your plane and using a lock-on laser to hit targets below you, creating a strategic element about managing threats on multiple levels. Raystorm takes place in full 3D environments, where you lock onto multiple enemies at once and unleash devastating laser barrages, with branching paths through stages that change based on your performance. Ray Crisis is the most experimental, with a darker story about diving into a computer system gone wrong, featuring a unique homing laser system and time extension mechanics. All 3 games have incredible techno soundtracks that drive the action, and the visual design uses vibrant colors and detailed backgrounds. The collection includes both arcade and console versions of each game, plus extra modes and challenges not in the original releases. You can adjust the screen orientation for vertical play if you have a stand for your Switch, replicating the arcade cabinet experience.
Well, not all of them, but you get the point.
Gradius Origins is a brand new entry in Konami's legendary side-scrolling shooter series, designed specifically to feel like a lost arcade game from the 1990s. The story follows the Vic Viper pilot fighting against the Bacterion Empire across 7 stages of intense shoot-'em-up action. The core mechanic that defines Gradius is the power-up system. You collect capsules that move a cursor along a power bar at the bottom of the screen, letting you choose which upgrade to activate. You can boost your speed, add missiles that hit ground targets, equip lasers or spread guns, deploy option pods that mirror your shots, or activate shields. Managing this power-up system while dodging bullets and environmental hazards creates constant decisions about what you need most. The level design is classic Gradius. You'll fly through volcanic planets, space fortresses, crystal caves, and massive battleships, with environmental hazards like solar flares and closing walls as dangerous as enemies. Boss fights feature huge mechanical constructs that fill the screen with bullet patterns, requiring precise movement. The game includes multiple difficulty settings and a practice mode where you can tackle individual stages. Agent Intercept is a high-speed arcade racing game where you play as a secret agent chasing down villains in a transforming supercar. The game channels classic spy movie energy with over-the-top action and exotic locations around the world. Your vehicle can transform between a car, boat, and plane depending on the terrain, automatically shifting modes as you speed through each level. The core gameplay is about maintaining your speed while weaving through traffic, collecting power-ups, and taking down enemy vehicles. You've got missiles, machine guns, and a boost that makes you temporarily invincible and faster. Each mission has objectives, like destroying a certain number of enemies, collecting intel packages, or catching up to a fleeing boss before time runs out. The levels are filled with ramps, shortcuts, and destructible scenery that rewards aggressive driving. Boss encounters have you chasing or racing against unique vehicles with special attacks, like a giant drill truck or a submarine that surfaces to fire missiles.
It appears to be Project Valkyrie, scrapped because of the physical and mental strain it put on pilots.
Stay on it, Agent. We're gathering data from your sector as you duel to survive.
Capcom Arcade Stadium brings together 32 classic Capcom arcade games in one massive collection. You're getting heavy hitters from the late 1980s and 1990s Street Fighter II and its variations, Final Fight, Ghosts and Goblins, 1944, The Loot Master, and many more. The collection spans multiple genres, from fighters to beat-em-ups to puzzle games to shooters. Street Fighter II revolutionized fighting games with its character roster, special moves, and competitive gameplay. Final Fight is the quintessential beat-em-up where you walk left to right, punching gangs of enemies. Ghosts and Goblins is the brutally difficult platformer where you're a knight fighting through monster-filled stages. The emulation includes tons of options. You can add scan lines, adjust difficulty, enable rewind if you mess up, use save states, and even adjust the game speed. There's a unique feature where you can increase your invincibility time or damage output if you're struggling, essentially building in difficulty options that weren't possible in arcades. Each game has online leaderboards, so you can compete for high scores globally. The Stadium interface presents the games as arcade cabinets you can walk between, and you unlock artwork and music as you play. Mr. Driller DrillLand takes the addictive block drilling formula and expands it into a full theme park of gameplay variations. The story follows Mr. Driller and friends visiting the DrillLand amusement park, where each attraction is a different drilling challenge. The basic mechanics have you drilling straight down through colored blocks, creating chain reactions when 4 or more blocks of the same color touch. You need to manage your air supply by collecting air capsules while avoiding getting crushed by falling blocks. The World Drill Tour mode is the classic experience with increasingly difficult descents. The Drindy Adventure adds platforming elements and exploration to the drilling. The Star Driller mode puts you in space with gravity-based puzzle challenges. The Drill Stone mode gives you a limited number of moves to clear specific patterns. The Horror Night House has you drilling through a haunted mansion with tricks and traps. Each attraction has multiple levels that get progressively harder, introducing new block types, hazards, and gimmicks. The presentation is colorful and charming, with character interactions between stages and upbeat music that matches the theme park setting.
Yasha!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection, packs in 13 classic TMNT games from the arcade and home consoles, giving you basically every major Turtles game from the late 80s and early 90s. The crown jewel is the original 1989 arcade game, where you and up to 3 friends pick your turtle and beat up foot soldiers across New York City to rescue April and stop Shredder. Each turtle plays slightly differently, with unique reach and speed stats, and you've got basic attacks, jump kicks, and special moves that drain your health. The arcade sequel, Turtles in Time, is here too, adding time travel stages where you fight through the prehistoric era and the far future. You also get the NES and SNES versions of various games, including the tough-as-nails first NES game, the excellent Turtles in Time port, and even the Game Boy titles. The collection includes quality-of-life features like save states, rewind, and the ability to add infinite lives or continues if you just want to see the endings. There's a museum section with concept art, old advertisements, and original box art for every game.
Prepare to die!
Sayonara Wild Hearts is a rhythm action game disguised as an arcade runner, where you control a heartbroken woman traveling through a surreal dream world. The story unfolds through abstract imagery and tarot card symbolism as you chase down rival gangs to restore balance to the universe. But honestly, the narrative takes a backseat to the pure kinetic energy of the gameplay. Each level has you speeding through psychedelic landscapes on motorcycles, skateboards, and even transforming mechs, while collecting hearts that appear in rhythm with the music. You dodge obstacles, change lanes, and occasionally enter combat sequences where you need to time button presses to the beat. The pop music soundtrack drives everything, with each stage built around a specific song that guides your actions. Levels last just a few minutes each, but are designed for repeated playthroughs as you chase higher scores and aim for gold rankings. The visual style is absolutely stunning, with vibrant colors, smooth animations, and seamless transitions between gameplay segments. One moment, you're riding through a neon city. The next, you're flying through space or dancing on top of a train. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics. This collection brings together 7 classic Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games from the arcade era, including games that were never properly released on modern consoles before. You get the original Marvel superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and even the Punisher beat-em-up. The main attraction is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, with its massive roster of 56 characters where you build teams of 3 fighters and swap between them mid-combo. The gameplay is fast and chaotic, with super jumps, air combos, assist attacks from your teammates, and screen-filling super moves. Each game has slightly different mechanics, but they all share that Capcom fighting game foundation of special move inputs, chain combos, and meter management. The collection includes training modes, where you can practice combos and learn character movesets, plus galleries with concept art and design documents. Online play is fully featured with rollback netcode, making matches smooth even across distances, and you can create lobbies to play with friends or jump into ranked matches. Sega Ages Out Run is the legendary racing game where you drive a Ferrari Testarossa across scenic routes with your girlfriend riding shotgun and a great soundtrack playing from the car radio. The goal isn't to race against other drivers, but to reach checkpoints before time runs out while speeding through beaches, deserts, forests, and cities. You choose your path at every fork in the road, creating different route combinations that lead to 5 possible endings depending on which roads you take. The driving has a great sense of speed, with hills that launch you into the air and tight turns that require careful braking. Crashing into other cars or roadside objects flips your car and costs precious seconds, while skillful driving through traffic lets you maintain momentum. This Sega Ages version includes the original arcade game plus the moving cabinet version that had different physics. You can adjust the difficulty, add extra time, and even enable a new gear that wasn't in the original. There's a 60 frames per second mode that makes the game incredibly smooth compared to the original 30 frames per second arcade version. Capcom Fighting Collection gathers 10 fighting games from Capcom's arcade history, focusing on their non-Street Fighter franchises. The big draws are the 5 Darkstalkers games, which feature horror-themed characters like vampires, werewolves, mummies, and succubi fighting in gothic environments. Darkstalkers uses similar mechanics to Street Fighter, but with more emphasis on air combat, chain combos, and flashier special moves. The collection also includes Red Earth, a fantasy-themed fighter with RPG elements where you level up and gain new moves as you progress through the arcade mode. Cyberbots is a mech fighting game where you customize your robots' weapons and parts. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo and Super Gem Fighter Mini Mix round out the collection with puzzle and chibi-style fighting variants. Each game is emulated perfectly with the option to use save states, adjust difficulty, and add scan lines. The training mode lets you practice with any character and test combos in controlled settings. Online play includes both casual and ranked matches with rollback netcode, ensuring smooth gameplay even with players far away. You can set regional filters or play with friends in custom lobbies. Sega Mega Drive Classics is a huge collection of over 50 games from the Genesis era, covering almost every genre imaginable. You get iconic titles like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, Streets of Rage 2, Golden Axe, and Phantasy Star 4, alongside deeper cuts and hidden gems. The collection includes fast platformers, side-scrolling beat-em-ups, turn-based RPGs, arcade shooters, puzzle games, and even sports titles. Each game is emulated accurately, with options to add visual filters, adjust screen sizes, and customize controls. The interface presents the games as cartridges on a shelf in a virtual bedroom, and you can add your favorites to a quick access list. Save states let you bookmark your progress in any game at any point, which is incredibly helpful for longer RPGs or difficult action games that originally didn't have save features. You can rewind gameplay if you make a mistake, essentially giving you unlimited continues. Local multiplayer works for games that originally supported it, so you can play Streets of Rage or Sonic 2's competitive mode with a friend. There are challenges for each game that task you with specific objectives, like reaching certain scores or completing levels under time limits. Contra Operation Galuga is a modern reimagining of the original Contra with updated graphics, expanded story missions, and refined gameplay that keeps the series' brutal difficulty. You play as Commandos Bill and Lance, who are sent to investigate an alien invasion on the Galuga archipelago, fighting through jungles, bases, and alien hives. The game keeps the classic run-and-gun gameplay, where you shoot constantly while dodging enemy fire and environmental hazards, but adds modern touches like a dash move for quick repositioning and weapon upgrading through pickups. You collect different guns throughout each stage: spread shots, lasers, homing missiles, and the iconic Crusher that shoots in multiple directions. Each weapon can be powered up by collecting multiples of the same type, increasing their damage and fire rate. The levels mix side-scrolling action with the classic behind-the-back 3D corridor stages that the series is known for. Boss fights are intense encounters against massive mechanical and organic threats that fill the screen with bullets. The story mode expands the original game's skeleton plot into a full narrative with cutscenes and character development, though you can skip these if you just want pure action. Mushihimesama is a bullet hell shoot-'em-up from Cave, one of the legendary developers of the genre, where you pilot a girl riding a giant beetle through a fantasy world filled with massive insects. The story has you as Princess Reko trying to save your plague-ridden village by journeying to the origin of the infestation, though plot takes a backseat to the intense shooting action. You fly through vertically scrolling stages filled with enemies that fire elaborate bullet patterns you need to weave through using precise movements. Your beetle shoots a constant stream of forward fire, while you can also deploy a limited number of bombs that clear the screen of bullets and damage enemies. The game has multiple shot types that change your firing pattern and movement speed. Normal mode has balanced stats. Rapid gives you speed but less power, and Abnormal has stronger shots but slower movement. The core skill is learning to watch bullet patterns and find the safe paths through seemingly impossible walls of projectiles. Your hitbox is just a tiny point at the center of your character, so you can squeeze through gaps that look too small. Each stage ends with a multi-phase boss that throws increasingly complex attack patterns at you. Horizon Chase Turbo is a modern arcade racer inspired by classic 80s and 90s racing games like Outrun and Top Gear, featuring simple controls and vibrant visuals. The World Tour mode has you racing through locations across the globe, from deserts to beaches to snowy mountains to Asian cities, each with distinct visual themes and weather conditions. The racing mechanics are straightforward. You accelerate constantly and focus on steering, drifting around curves, and using nitro boosts at the right moments. There are no complex simulation elements, just pure arcade racing, where maintaining your racing line and avoiding crashes is what matters. Each track has collectible tokens scattered along the course that contribute to your overall completion percentage, plus fuel pickups that extend your race since you're constantly burning gas. You compete against 19 other racers in every event, fighting for position through tight packs of cars on narrow roads. Upgrades unlock as you progress, improving your car's acceleration, handling, top speed, and nitro capacity. The game has a fantastic sense of speed, with a smooth frame rate and a horizon line that shifts colors as you drive, creating a dreamy, retro aesthetic. Andro Dunos 2 is a horizontal shoot-'em-up and the long-awaited sequel to a 1992 Neo Geo game, bringing classic side-scrolling shooting action with a modern coat of paint. You pilot a fighter ship defending against an alien invasion across varied environments, from space stations to asteroid fields to organic alien structures. The game's unique hook is your 4 weapon systems that you can switch between instantly. Beam is a focused forward shot. Laser penetrates through enemies. Missile homes in on targets, and Bomb creates explosions in an arc. Managing these weapons and switching to the right one for each situation is the key to survival and scoring high. Your weapons level up by collecting power-ups, increasing their firepower and area coverage significantly. The levels have great variety, with mid-bosses and end-stage boss fights that require pattern recognition and quick reflexes. Environmental hazards, like crushing walls and rotating barriers, add extra challenge beyond just enemy fire. The game supports 2-player local co-op, where both players share a life pool, encouraging teamwork and coordination. The difficulty is tuned for modern players, with multiple settings and the option to continue if you lose all your lives. Raiden 4X Mikado Remix delivers a fast and focused vertical shmup experience that feels right at home on the system. It stays true to classic arcade roots, with tight movement, clear bullet patterns, and a set of modes that keep you chasing better scores, from the traditional arcade run to overkill, score attack, and a dedicated boss rush. The Switch's ability to rotate the screen adds a big boost, letting you enjoy the game in full vertical orientation for an authentic cabinet feel. The remixed soundtrack is a major highlight, offering energetic arrangements created in collaboration with Game Center Mikado, while the option to swap back to the original tracks lets you tune the vibe to your preference. Every run feels readable and intense, with a smart scoring system that rewards aggressive play, especially when you dive into flash shot bonuses or push overkill for extra points. Co-op and double play modes add replay value, giving room to experiment or tackle the chaos with a friend. Even with its older visual style, the presentation is clean and satisfying, making each stage a fun blend of reflex challenges and scoring strategy. Overall, it's a polished, energetic pick for anyone who enjoys arcade shooters on the go or wants a reliable score-chasing game to return to often. Wonder Boy Collection is a great choice for anyone who enjoys classic arcade-style action on Nintendo Switch, bringing together 4 iconic adventures from the series in one polished package. Each game offers a different style, starting with straightforward platforming and gradually shifting into more adventure-driven worlds filled with light RPG elements, equipment upgrades, and charming characters. The collection feels welcoming thanks to modern features like save states, filters, and a handy rewind option that lets you correct a mistake without breaking the flow of the game. The pixel art from the Monster World entries still looks crisp, and the upbeat chiptune soundtrack gives each journey a warm, nostalgic feel that fits perfectly on the Switch. Whether you're running through tight platforming segments or exploring deeper areas filled with enemies and secrets, the variety across the 4 titles keeps the gameplay fresh and encourages you to try each story at your own pace. It's also a great way to experience the evolution of a classic series, going from pure arcade roots to richer action-adventure design without losing the charm that made Wonder Boy so memorable. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is one of the strongest arcade-style packages on Nintendo Switch, gathering 12 classic entries that show how the series evolved from simple special moves to deep competitive play. Each game is presented in its original arcade form, giving you the fast pacing, tight inputs, and intense match flow that made the franchise iconic. The Switch edition adds helpful features like save states and visual filters, letting you tailor the experience while keeping the original feel intact. 4 titles support online play with lobbies and ranked matches, giving you a way to test your skills against others or jump into quick sessions that feel close to local arcade battles. The collection also includes a detailed museum mode filled with character art, design notes, and a full timeline that shows how each entry shaped the next. The music player is a nice touch too, letting you enjoy classic soundtracks outside of matches. While some games feel tough because of their faithful arcade difficulty, that challenge is part of the appeal for players who enjoy mastering timing and spacing. Wild Guns Reloaded is a fast, energetic arcade shooter on Nintendo Switch that mixes Wild West style with steampunk enemies, creating a tight, focused experience that rewards quick reactions and smart dodging. You choose from 4 characters, each with a distinct playstyle, and take on single-screen stages filled with flying bullets, explosive projectiles, and mechanical foes that keep the action constantly shifting. The game uses a mix of shooting and movement on a fixed background, letting you roll, jump, and dive to stay alive while lining up precise shots on enemies and destructible objects. Boss encounters hit hard with aggressive patterns that push you to learn timing and spacing, giving the game that classic arcade one more try loop. The Switch version also supports up to 4 players locally, turning the chaos into a loud, frantic cooperative run where teamwork matters because everyone shares the same pool of lives. The remastered visuals keep the original charm, but update the clarity so you can easily track threats, while the soundtrack blends new arrangements with old-school tracks to match the action. Pocky and Rocky Reshrined is a standout arcade-style shooter on Nintendo Switch that combines fast-paced top-down action with charming visuals inspired by Japanese folklore. Players take control of Pocky, a shrine maiden, Rocky, a mischievous tanuki, or 3 additional characters, each with unique abilities that influence their approach to combat. The game's 8 stages are vibrant and detailed, featuring fields, shrines, forests, and winding paths filled with yokai enemies and massive bosses that demand quick reflexes and pattern recognition. Combat revolves around balancing rapid-fire attacks, defensive maneuvers, and limited bombs while dodging enemy projectiles, making each encounter tense and rewarding. Reshrined supports both solo play and local co-op, where teamwork becomes crucial as all players share the same lives, heightening the stakes in chaotic moments. The remastered visuals bring the characters and environments to life, while the soundtrack mixes energetic tunes with traditional Japanese motifs, enhancing the atmosphere. With multiple modes, including a story-focused run and free play for score chasing, plus online leaderboards to test skills against others, it encourages repeated runs to master each stage. And that's our top 25 best arcade games on Nintendo Switch. From classic collections to modern arcade experiences, there's something here for every type of player. What's your favorite arcade game on Switch? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this countdown, smash that like button and subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo Switch content. Until next time!